Hey everybody, on my way to one of my least favorite of the human culture's events, a funeral. Now this funeral is for a friend's mother. Well, I grew up with him and his sister. She's a nice lady. It's gonna be the big Catholic thing. I don't do well at funerals. I mean, not because of the religious thing and everything, but my entire life they've just been weird to me. Now I look back, I can say, well, I didn't have any kind of attachment to the whole ceremonial thing or anything. I didn't understand it. How's a kid supposed to understand that? So, once I become solid in my lack of belief or subscribing to any kind of sky daddies or deities or magical mystical forces, death, I don't know, death seemed a little bit different. I got divorced about 10 years ago. I don't know. About 10 years ago. Separated from my wife. After a couple years of separating and fighting and bickering and arguing and getting back togethering and everything associated with getting divorced. It was done. Several months went by. I did some things. And I met somebody. Of course, you know. But the person I met was different. I wasn't looking for somebody. It was just, it was like a friend. And I remember sitting in my driveway telling her that it will be 7 years before I even consider marriage. This was about the time of my divorce. I mean, my divorce didn't get final for like a couple years because, let's face it, it was just cheap. Or it was expensive. It was a formality at that point. But, after being separated for 2 years, it's done. Anyway, we started hanging out. After 6-8 months, kids started hanging out together. I mean, not that we were keeping the kids away from each other, but it wasn't for the kids yet. So kids started hanging out, and a couple years ago, and we moved in together. And a couple years ago, in October of 2007, I actually proposed. Got the ring, had a big thing, elaborate. We were into poker, and I have some of the pictures on my MySpace page. I don't know if I want to share that with everybody or not. But the Godless Archer. I should be available. I don't know. I think I might have taken it off because of trying to find a job and didn't want potential employers to get bits and pieces about me to use against me. Anyway, November of 2007, popped the question. couple months of deliberating and finding things and figuring out what we want to do, and this and that. We decided on November 18th was going to be the wedding date. November 18th, 2008. March of 2008. She was getting ready to go take the kids to Florida for spring break, and she was at her friend's house getting her hair done before the night before they were to leave. I get a phone call from another friend that friend had called her and said that Paula had gotten sick and was throwing up, and she called the ambulance. The ambulance came and got her. You know, I was to go to the hospital. Told me where she was. I went to the hospital thinking, wow, what an inconvenience. I told her daughters that I was going somewhere. I got to run somewhere real quick. Didn't want to tell them their mom was in the hospital. And get your stuff put on them. Make sure your stuff's on the bed so she can go through it and make the final packings. And anyway, I get to the hospital and the receptionist puts me in the room. And they were walking me back, I knew. I mean, you just, not by some mystical force or anything, you just know people's attitudes and things. And then when the doctor came in, he started asking me questions about her, her health and diabetes, and I think he was looking for a way to, oh well, hey, it finally got her, kind of thing. But when he told me that Paula had died, I was numb. I was blank. I was dumbfounded. I was upset. I was mad. I was all of it. The first thing that they asked me is if I want the pastor to come be with me. And I don't think I was rude, but I just kind of gave him a look like, what the fuck does that matter? So, this might be a couple-parter because I'm not going to get it in 10 minutes. Death to an atheist is final, It's done. It's over. Over. Finished. Done. Gone. Out. It's anthrax, by the way. I mean, yeah, you get to live on by your atoms will break down and become other stuff, but it's so final. When you're done, you are done. Well, found out later that what had happened is Paula's coronary artery had ruptured and she ended up bleeding to death. That was basically it. She bled to death internally. I read up on it and asked around, and from the research that I found, like 99.8% of all cases are diagnosed at autopsy. So there's no real way to know what's coming unless you're doing extensive testing for something else and you just happen to find it. So I'll do another little bit. I'm coming up on